So this August, Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States and current frontrunner for the Republican Party nominee for president, was criminally indicted for the fourth time. This indictment, brought by a grand jury of American citizens in Fulton County, Georgia, was focused on Trump's efforts to overturn his 2020 election loss in their state. The nearly 100-page indictment breaks down 161 acts by Trump and his allies to undo the election defeat, including harassing local election workers and framing them with false claims of fraud, attempting to persuade Georgia lawmakers to ignore the will of the voters, tampering with voting machines, Trump's phone call to Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to find enough votes for him to win, and the attempt to appoint a new slate of electors to cast Georgia's electoral votes for Trump instead of the actual winner of the state, Joe Biden. There are 41 counts included in this indictment, and unlike the 4 counts brought by Jack Smith in the federal indictment in D.C., which also focuses on Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election, this indictment includes 18 other defendants along with Trump himself. Defendants that include former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, Trump attorney and former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, Trump Administration and Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark, and a number of Trump's lawyers like John Eastman, Sidney Powell, and Kenneth Chesebro. There are also 30 unnamed, currently unindicted co-conspirators. This indictment, brought by DA Fani Willis, includes forgery, false documents, false statements, soliciting or impersonating public officers, witness tampering, election fraud, defrauding the state, computer tampering, perjury, and racketeering, or what's called RICO charges, which tie everything together and is the one charge that all 19 defendants share. The RICO statute, or the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, is used most often for organized crime, like the mafia or street gangs. But it's a powerful legal tool because it allows the prosecution to tie together seemingly unconnected events from potentially unconnected people. Prosecutors put together a racketeering indictment by collecting individual actions known as overt acts that are meant to further the goal of a larger conspiracy. On their own, each act may or may not be a separate crime, but when they are considered together, the overt acts can help a prosecutor tell a story of how many steps actually went into a complex crime. Much like how an individual puzzle piece doesn't really tell you much, but if you put it together with the other ones, you get a clear picture. In this case, a picture of Mr. Trump and his allies working towards the common goal of overturning the 2020 election results in Georgia. Ultimately, you don't have to like me or agree with my politics to acknowledge that 19 people have been indicted based on serious evidence for serious crimes, and most of them are going to jail. Racketeering itself includes a 5-year minimum sentence, and in case you're thinking about pardons, in Georgia, you're not eligible to apply for one until you've served at least 5 years of your sentence, and pardons are done through a pardoning board. So the president can't pardon you for a state crime, and the governor can't pardon you in Georgia. So for whatever that means to you, I would start coming to terms with it. I know people are feeling outraged at liberals right now for being gleeful about things like Donald Trump's processing or his mugshot, but I would argue that it's not glee you're seeing, it's relief. I believe the positive emotions that are being expressed around these indictments are based on seeing justice in action after watching justice be impotent for so long. When that many crimes are committed right in front of your face and nothing happens, it starts to feel like the rules don't matter, that laws don't matter, that facts don't matter. And when you see the rules and laws and facts actually counting again, there's just this tremendous sense of relief. At the end of the day, I think most of us find this whole thing deeply depressing. It's hard to accept that the President of the United States would betray our country like this. It's hard to admit how close we were and still are to losing American democracy. It's difficult to stomach the same man who is up on all these charges is the leading candidate for the Republican Party, and it's kind of devastating when you acknowledge how many people were willing to go down the criminal rabbit hole for him and how many citizens continue to support him to this day. Ultimately, we need to be careful we don't turn this incredibly heartbreaking situation into some kind of entertainment. This is our reality, and we can't forget how unprecedented and crazy it is that our former and potential future president has been charged with 91 felonies, including trying to overturn our democracy and rule of law for his own retained power. This is a truly astonishing moment in our country's history, and we should treat it with the gravity it deserves. How we handle this, what we demand from our lawmakers after this, what protections we put in place to avoid this ever happening again, that will be the difference between our country's future success or its failure. The choice is ours. Donald Trump made his bed, but we don't have to lie in it.